In this video, I'm going to be talking about the understaffing crisis at academic adventures and other daycare communities. Understaffing in the daycare community has become a major issue because it creates extremely high stress for current employees. It's also driven by low wages that push qualified workers out of the field and forces centers to hire unqualified and inexperienced teachers who are not fully prepared to support young children's needs. Academic Adventures illustrates a cohesive and professional community through its shared goals. The goals are to provide a safe, nurturing, and developmentally appropriate environment where every child can grow socially, emotionally, and academically. Effective communication systems like informal and formal conversations are used in the daycare community, and active participation among its members for experienced teachers, assistant teachers, and all incoming staff participate when following routines and caring for the children. Some other issues that contribute to the problem of understaffing is high stress. In the article, Compensation and Staffing Challenges in Childcare, Todd Hall says that among problems with recent hiring, 90% indicated that they had asked existing staff to work more hours or to take on additional responsibilities. Also, in another article, Child Care Workforce Crisis, the author explains that when there aren't enough teachers, remaining staff has to take on extra duties, class sizes sometimes get larger, and breaks and planning times are cut. Teachers then feel physically exhausted. This creates a cycle where stress leads to burnout, then leads to more people quitting, and eventually leads to even more stress. In an interview conducted with Jaslyn Potter, a staff member at Academic Adventures, she expressed that understaffing definitely causes more stress for her at home and at work. When there aren't enough teachers, she feels like she's constantly rushing and juggling way more than she can handle. She's supervising more kids than usual, trying to keep everyone safe while managing behaviors, helping with meals, and still trying to give each child the attention they deserve. There are days where she barely gets a break, and by the end of the shift, she's physically exhausted and mentally drained. What makes it harder is that the stress doesn't stay at work. She takes it home with her. She's often still thinking about the kids and the things that she didn't have enough time to finish, or whether she gave every child what they needed that day. Some nights she says that she's so tired that it affects her mood, her patience, and even her energy with her own family. Understaffing just creates this constant pressure that follows her even after she clocks out. Another problem that contributes to the issue are the low wages that childcare providers are making. In the article, Compensation and Staffing Challenges in Childcare, it shows how wages in the centers studied are very low, making work economically unsustainable and contributing to high turnover or shortages. On average, lead teachers' wages were only about $11.21 per hour, and assistant teacher wages were only about $9.67 per hour. Low wages are definitely a root cause of staffing problems. Also, in the article Child Care Workforce Crisis, the author explains that even when paying above minimum wage, attracting any staff, much less those qualified, has become nearly impossible. This is because no one wants to work at those wages. Also, in an interview conducted with Jaslyn Potter, she says that she thinks that low wages is one of the biggest reasons for understaffing. She says that the work that we do is extremely important, caring for young children, keeping them safe, and supporting their development, handling all the emotions and physical demands that come with it. But the pay doesn't often match the level of responsibility we take on every single day. A lot of people love working with kids, but they simply can't afford to stay in the field. I've seen coworkers leave for jobs and go to retail or food service because they can't make enough money with less stress. It's frustrating because many great teachers want to stay, but low wages make it hard to pay bills or even support their families. So, yes, low pay absolutely contributes to the understaffing problem because if wages were higher, more people would want to stay and more qualified workers would want to join. The last thing that contributes to the issue are hiring unqualified teachers because of the shortages. In the article, Compensation and Staffing Challenges in Childcare, 84% of directors reported that staffing shortages had forced them to hire less experienced or less qualified teachers than they would prefer. Adding on, in an interview with Jaslyn Potter, she says that she does think that understaffing leads to more hires who are unexperienced and underqualified. because when a center is desperate for staff, they don't always have the time or the applicant pool to be picky. Instead of getting people with child care backgrounds or proper training, we sometimes end up with applicants who just want a job and don't fully understand what child care involves. I've seen new hires come in with very little experience managing a classroom, handling behaviors, or understanding safety rules, and it puts even more pressure on the experienced staff. We have to train them on the spot while still taking care of the kids, which adds on more stress than we're already dealing with. It's not that these new employees are bad people, they just haven't had the training or support they need, and understaffing makes it hard for them to learn properly. So now for some solutions that will help reduce understaffing in the daycare community. Starting off with the first solution that came from an article called "The Childcare Sector Will Continue to Struggle Hiring Staff Unless It Creates Good Jobs." The author implied that the childcare field needs to offer true good jobs in order to attract and keep workers. This means providing more benefits like health insurance and retirement plans, offering stable schedules, and creating real opportunities for professional growth and advancement. Many childcare positions currently lack these basic supports, which make the work unsustainable for employees, even though the jobs are incredibly important. As a result of more benefits, it will encourage workers to stay in the field or even attract more workers to want to join. The next solution comes from Jaslyn Potter. She says that raising wages is one of the most powerful ways to reduce understaffing, because it directly addresses the main reason why people leave the field. The pay is way too low for the amount of work and responsibility of the job. The wages make it hard to pay rent, afford groceries, and support their own families. If daycare centers offered better pay, they would attract more applicants and be able to hire people who truly want to work with children and not just people taking any job they can find. It would also motivate experienced teachers to stay long term instead of constantly losing the staff to higher paying industries. And finally, the last solution that comes from an article called "Solving the Child Care Shortage." Policy initiatives that focus on workforce development are essential for addressing the staffing crisis. By investing in training programs, states can ensure that new educators enter the field with the skills and the qualifications needed for high-quality care. Recruitment supports such as scholarships, tuition assistance, or partnerships with community college can help attract more people into the profession. In addition, grants and funding opportunities can allow child care centers to improve on their working conditions, offer competitive wages, and create advanced pathways to make the jobs more appealing. Together, those strategies can strengthen staffing supply and help transform early childhood education into a stable, long-term, and professionally respected career.